So, tell me something terrible.
Have you silenced your phone
No, I've actually turned it up.
all the way?
Yeah, in case all my friends call me all at once.
All two of them.
One's at a wedding.
All one of them.
Yeah. He's on pins and needles hoping to play some video games after this. So.
After this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the weekend.
You're going to be up until 1 o'clock?
I don't know. Don't tell me my business, devil woman. We'll see where the night goes.
Rude. I am in like dark burgundy, so devil woman seems appropriate.
Yeah, the dog is like freaking out around us. So if you hear like shaking of metal, it's just her shaking her collar like a psycho.
There was a rogue cat.
Yes.
That almost got into our gay rage.
A stranger knocked on our door today.
Yes.
And caused panic throughout the household.
Yeah, a child came out crying. I didn't know where you were, and I tried to call you, and you didn't have your phone.
We were in the barn.
No.
And a stranger knocked on our door and then eventually came to the barn to ask us for some rhubarb.
Yep.
because that's how much we live in the country.
Yeah, in case you care just how small of a town. We're not lying.
We have rhubarb the size of like...
a small Volkswagen.
Yes. And
it's the size of a Yugo.
Yes, exactly. And it's pretty visible from the road.
Yeah.
So we've had probably, 6 people ever come to our house that don't live here, and 5 of them have been about our rhubarb.
Yeah.
It's like we have the most famous rhubarb in town.
That's what I told them, too. I was like, our neighbor came over asking if they could, like, dig up a plant because they're so big. And the chick across the street gets it. I'm like, we have, like, neighborhood famous rhubarb.
Yeah. And we don't.
And we've eaten it once.
Yeah, we made jam out of it once, and it was good.
Yeah, we need to do it again this year.
Yeah, one of your jars exploded in the freezer.
What?
Yeah, that's why the freezer
is sticky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, your favorite.
Yeah, I love
Tell me
sticky.
more about that sticky freezer.
All right, what are we talking about tonight?
Oh, wait.
What?
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Oh, hi, I'm Scott.
And you're listening to Tell Me Something Terrible.
Yeah, you are.
Where we discuss rhubarb.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny if I was doing poisonous plants?
Sure.
I'm not. I'm doing a serial killer.
How about the weird spelling of rhubarb? Why the H? You don't need it.
Yeah.
We wouldn't say you dip from without it.
Rhubarb.
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 Anyway, what's the root word for root?
For rhubarb?
Yeah.
It's probably German, I feel like, with that like real strong H.
I don't think so.
Our German listener, I don't think they're ever going to come back. They'll be like, fuck these people.
Root word?
Yeah. We're going to fill you guys full of useless facts.
It's Old French.
French. Well, that makes sense.
From... Wait, what? Hold on. Never mind. I don't know.
Why doesn't French make sense?
No. It says which... Okay. The word rhubarb is likely to have derived from the 14th century... In the 14th century from the Old French rhubarb spelled R-U-B-A-R-B-E. So... rhubarb without an H, yeah, which came from the Latin rhubarbarum.
That's where the H is at.
And Greek barbaron, meaning foreign rhubarb. So it just gets back.
It's just a big circle
to the word rhubarb. Yeah. Anyway,
do you want a fun English language fact?
What?
It really isn't fun. Backstory. I studied English for a semester, and this is the only bit of information that I retained from one of my level 400 etymology classes. English exists because the French took over the Germanic-speaking tribes that were in the UK, and instead of forcing language on them, they integrated language with one another, and that's why we have so many different ridiculous words for things. Mm-hmm. Like why we have beef is beef and cow is cow, because cow is a German root word and beef is a French root word. And so they kind of smashed it all into amalgamation. And then at some point along the line, somebody wanted English to be considered a romantic language, and romantic languages are based in Latin. So that's why we have all different sorts of fucked up spelling, because they tried to force English into a Latin background that it didn't have, in case you really gave a shit about why our language is as stupid as it is. Yep. I learned that at Spring Arbor.
Okay. You ready to press on?
Yep.
Okay.
Serial killers.
Back to what?
Yes.
Hard left.
Yes. English serial killers, though.
From England?
From UK, yeah.
Not just that speak English?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So,
Are we doing Jack the Ripper?
No. I love Jack the Ripper, though.
I mean, who doesn't?
I do love a good Jack and a good Ripper.
What?
Look.
Your
The
jokes are
alcohol. I sat
on
down and the alcohol finally caught up.
That's how it works.
Yep. After I dropped a dozen things and spilled a drink.
You did.
Okay. Not my fault. It was the blanket's fault.
It was Jack the Ripper's fault.
Yes. This one is named John George
Jingleheimer Smith?
Hey.
What?
Hey.
His last name's Haigh.
Yeah, it's Haigh.
Haigh.
I looked it up, too, just to make sure I wasn't going to fuck up the pronunciation. Google says it's Haigh.
Okay.
So, John George Haigh was born in Stamford, Lincolnshire, England.
Got to have a good shire in there.
Yep. In 1909.
Okay.
To a conservative...
He's definitely dead.
Yes. Yes.
I'm just pointing the facts out as they're presented to me.
Okay. Based on his birthday, he's 100% dead.
Yep.
Never mind the fact that he's a serial killer.
Not relevant. Yeah. Either way, definitely dead now.
So,
okay.
He was born in Stamford, Lincolnshire, England in 1909 to a conservative Protestant parents. Mm-hmm. He flitted from job to job, working as a choir boy.
You work as a choir boy?
He got interned, when he was like a teenager, they shipped him off to some Catholic.
So that's where his trauma starts. Okay.
Yeah. And then he interned at a firm of motor engines. And then he
What?
Look, that's the only information.
A firm of motor engines?
A firm.
I thought you were going to say attorneys, like attorneys at law.
No.
A firm of lawyers? No, a firm of
motor engines. That's what you call a gathering of motor engines, is a firm. Duh.
Is it, though?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is.
So he also worked in insurance and advertising. Mm-hmm. He was eventually fired from his last job, accused of stealing money from the till. So he came to realize that there was a more appealing way to make money than working an actual job. So he was quite the hustler. So he wrote about the start of his illustrious criminal career. He said, quote, "I discovered there were easier ways of making a living than to work long hours in an office. I did not ask myself whether I was doing right or wrong. That seemed to me to be irrelevant.
Okay.
I merely said, that is what I wish to do. And as the means lay within my power, that was what I decided."
Strong moral compass on this guy.
Yes.
Love to see it.
Right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a shit about that?
No. It's right and right.
100%.
Yeah, follow your truth.
So, that's the moral of this story.
Yeah.
And so John started scheming to get his money, honing his charming and friendly personality and forging skills along the way.
Foraging? Or
forging, not foraging.
Like forging knives or forging signatures?
Forging signatures.
Okay.
Yep.
That's an important differentiation there.
Yes.
Because if he was like a master forger, like he could make a fucking like sword out of a lump of metal.
Great.
I could see where that could lead to serial killer. But if you can forge signatures, then it's like a catch me if you can situation.
I mean, yeah, and then it escalates.
Did you ever watch Catch Me If You Can?
No.
Really?
I know.
It's I don't know how it would hold up now. When I watched it, it was a very good movie. I haven't seen it in 20 whatever years because it's probably from 2000, but it was good at its time.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of movies that came out 20 years ago where you're like, that was great. And then you watch it now and you're like, that's problematic.
I'm going to set the over-under at 2005. Over-under for Catch Me If You Can.
Over, but just by like a year or two.
2002.
Wow.
So it is 20 years old.
Ew.
It is a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, by the way.
Don't like that. Wow.
Right? Anywho.
Still. Because people like actively vote for a long
They
time.
probably don't actively vote on that anymore, but correct.
You're right. No one gives a shit. Only people our age who saw the movie.
For the record, that 20-year-old movie, 96% on Rotten Tomatoes.
May or may not stand up.
Yes.
So, by 1934, he found himself in prison for fraud for 2 years. When he was released, he was by the time he was released, he was a divorcee with a daughter that was put up for adoption by the mother.
Okay.
And his
Not his mother, the mother.
The mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, his parents had ostracized him. And so he headed to London, where he became a chauffeur for a wealthy real estate mogul / entrepreneur of all sorts named William McSwan. Came from a wealthy family, created an empire. the McSwans.
I was hoping you would say a name I actually recognize.
Absolutely not.
Okay, cool.
So Haigh also worked for the McSwans, not only as the chauffeur, but also collecting money from William McSwan's arcade games. All the while committing blatant fraud on the side, pretending to be a solicitor for the Chancery buildings in London.
Okay.
So he would sell fraudulent stock shares below market price. So a more diligent client of his noticed an error in his name on the letterheads, and that scheme quickly unraveled, and he was caught and served an additional 4 years in prison for fraud.
Okay, so good 6 years of prison before your 30s. Like to see it.
Yep. So at this point, Haigh had come to the conclusion that the mistake he was making, apart from blatantly breaking the law, was leaving people alive.
Let's say the biggest mistake.
Yeah, no, the biggest mistake was that he was leaving people alive to report his fraud.
He's learning. He's learning as he goes on the job.
Yep. So
school of hard knocks.
So while he was imprisoned, this last time,
he learned how to forge knives.
No,
Oh.
He did a little experimenting. It might have been during prison. It might have been after. Either way, there's it's back in the 40s, so there's a little bit of inconsistency.
This isn't the way most guys experiment in prison, I don't think.
Nope. He took a page out of the book of a previous murderer. He was a French serial killer named... Fuck me.
Is it Lay?
No.
Sorry.
No, it's George's. Is it George? Georgie? Jorge? No, Jorge would be Spanish. George.
Okay.
George Alexander Surratt. Sarah?
George Alexander? Isn't that the guy who plays in Seinfeld?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Anyway, it was a French serial killer.
What was the last name?
Sarret. Sarret?
Sarret.
Sarret?
Okay.
He's a French serial killer. He had a propensity for sulfuric acid.
Oh, okay.
So he found a mouse to test the efficacy of the sulfuric acid's ability to dissolve a body. It took a complete 30 minutes to dissolve this poor unfortunate mouse. So he's like, cool, it works.
Hold on. Where does the prisoner get sulfuric acid to start with?
That's why I was questioning, because I saw different sources. There was no pinpoint. One source said it happened in prison, but there's no way it did.
Did they do laundry with sulfuric?
They used lye in laundry, and
was
lye
borax, is that sulfuric acid?
I don't know. We have some on our top shelf in the bathroom if you wanted to look.
I'm just wondering where, you don't go to, the, what do they call it? Whatever.
The commissary?
Commissary and be like, here.
I need a toothbrush and, a pound of that sulfuric acid.
Yeah,
Thanks
just
so
for
much.
a rat experiment back in my cell.
Really trying to add some flavor to that toilet wine.
Yeah, I've heard it's acid, salt, heat, whatever. I was just really leaning towards sulfuric this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Haigh was finally released from prison in 1943. And for a while, he held a respectful, legal, not murdery job as an accountant.
How bold.
Yep. He then ran into his old employer, William McSwan, at a pub one night.
Okay.
So McSwan introduced this hell of a nice guy because Haigh was very charismatic. Everybody loved him when they met him, but he did have a bit of a gambling problem.
You had a little Nicki Minaj in your nice guy like that. Isn't that
I'm a hell of a guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So his McSwan's parents happened to be with him, so he introduced, Haigh to his parents.
Yeah.
And told Haigh of his latest work, collecting rent from the family's properties. So Haigh liked the lifestyle that McSwan was living, which was rich, chill, loosey-goosey.
Goosey.
Yeah.
The McSwans are loosey-goosey, really?
Yep.
You really ducked into that one.
Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
So in September of 1944, Haigh met up with McSwan, and he lured him back to these basement offices that he'd started renting. So McSwan was never seen or heard from again.
Okay.
Yep. Haigh took up William's position working for the elderly McSwans, Donald and Amy. So to keep their suspicions at bay...
Sorry.
What's up?
His name's Donald McSwan. Instead of Donald Duck. Sorry.
That's the British version.
Yes.
This one wears pants without a shirt instead of pants with
McSwan,
no
so
shorts.
it's like the Irish version, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's the ones you get at Kmart. You get your Donald McSwan toy, yeah.
Oh, oh my gosh.
And your Mickey rat.
Or McDuck. McDuck, the like
oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was like the superhero in one of the Anyway, 90s nostalgia. Oh boy. I sure do miss 90s cable television.
Just a big Goof Troop fan over there. Okay.
The Animaniacs. No.
Scrooge McDuck. That's what I remember.
Yeah. No.
That's the McDuck I remember.
There's a McDuck that has like a purple, like with a big D on the chest of it. And
Oh,
he's like all buffed
the
out.
letter. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, the letter.
His name was just McDick with a big
penis, oddly penis-shaped drawing on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't put it... You see all different... As a grown-up, when you rewatch movies, you're like, oh, no.
The innuendos are real.
Shrek is...
Body language. Hercules to me.
Hercules,
yeah, those muses were up to something.
Yeah, they were. There was like 5 or 6 of them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You mean Hercules. So, so to keep Donald and Amy McDuck's suspicions at bay... McSwan's suspicions at bay, Haigh told them that William had disappeared, as he tended to do, to avoid getting caught for draft dodging, because this is the 40s.
Oh, okay.
During the war.
I was gonna say,
yeah, William was known for like kind of covering his tracks and kind of moving around because he didn't want to get caught.
He'd rather be rich and lazy and not a soldier.
I mean,
I get that.
Yeah, he actually wound up applying.
I would have been eating all the cotton balls.
Yes, well, you can when you get your draft stuff, you can reply back and say, I'm a conscientious objector to the war, and they usually didn't want to draft people like that who are going to blatantly be like, nope, I'm going to sabotage this entire situation.
Yeah. Grenade, I dropped it.
Oh, whoops. Oops. So that did tend to happen, but they didn't believe it, and they were like, nope, you still have to go to war anyway, so he kind of was trying to dodge the draft. So his parents weren't suspicious at first when that was the excuse that that Haigh kept giving them, like, oh no, he's moved to Scotland to try to avoid the war.
Yeah.
But as the war drew to an end, Donald and Amy started to get sus because their son should be coming back any time now.
Yeah, he just continued to fly the coop.
And so Haigh had a couple more witnesses that he needed to get rid of. So he lured the McSwans to his basement workshop one by one. First Donald, then Amy. And they suffered the same fate as their son. They were hit in the back of the head with a lead pipe, allowed to bleed out, and then deposited in a 40-gallon metal vat of sulfuric acid.
Okay. It's a real, like, what's a game? Not Clue.
Clue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the basement with the lead pipe.
Yeah. And so this is where they stayed for 2 days while the acid ate away at their bodies, leaving just a bit of fat and teeth behind. So their bodies were then dumped down.
How nuggets are made too.
Yeah, that pink sludge.
Yeah.
So their bodies were dumped down the drain at his workshop. Williams had actually been dumped down a manhole cover once Haigh had stripped their bodies of like any valuables. He forged signatures, and the properties were sold, and he made about 8,000 like pounds or euros, or whatever their currency was at the time.
All right.
And he collected all of this money.
It wasn't galleons?
No, it was not galleons or
Canucks.
Canucks. I swear, I'm a Harry Potter fan.
Anywho, shillings.
That's real money, not Harry Potter
I'm just throwing
money.
out every currency.
Loonies, toonies.
No, that's
dollars.
That's Canada. Anyway,
so he collected all of the valuables and all of the money from the McSwans.
Yep.
Haigh lived off the money for several years, but eventually, between moving to an expensive hotel flat and renting a new workspace and gambling, the money started to run out, so Haigh needed his next victim. He eventually befriended a doctor and his wife, Archibald.
Solid name.
And Rose Henderson.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So Haigh feigned interest in a house the couple was selling, but he clearly...
Does Rose get on the Titanic at some point?
No, that's way too late. The 40s, Titanic's sank.
It's a joke.
Okay, whatever.
It's a UK Rose.
It's a bad joke.
Okay.
It's not a The Rose of Texas? Those are the yellow roses.
Oh, Amarillo? Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Okay.
I don't even know where we're going anymore.
Nope.
Just keep going.
Off the rails,
Good.
Clearly. So, Haigh feigned interest in a house the couple was selling, but when he clearly charmed them quite a bit with his enchanting piano skills.
Oh, my God. He's such a international man of mystery.
So, well, he had to learn something when he was a choir boy, so he became a pianist.
It's pronounced pianist.
A pianist. So he charmed them with his pianist skills, and Rose invited him back to their flat.
You guys want to see my penis? My what? My pianist skills. Sorry.
He really likes to hit a nice low D note every once in a while.
Big D on his chest. Anyway.
So Rose invited him back to their flat to entertain a house party that they were planning. While at the flat, Haigh stole Archibald's revolver. So Haigh gained their trust and invited them to his workshop, one by one.
Of course.
And this is where he shot Archie with his own gun.
Oof.
Yep. And then he lured Rose in with a lie about her husband falling ill.
Somewhat true.
And then he shot her too.
Yep.
Both of them took a spicy bath in a separate 40-gallon vats. But unlike his old workshop,
Was
Hayes...
no one taking note of this guy who keeps buying gallons of sulfuric acid from
There
places?
was not a mention.
Okay,
no
cool.
one was sus. But back then you could buy arsenic by the pounds because of it was rat poisoning.
Yeah.
And no one batted
It's
an
just a
eye.
lot of sulfuric acid for a guy to continually pick up from somewhere.
The narrative he spun for a lot of the people that he met was that he was an inventor. So, because he was kind of vague, just vague enough. And maybe, he convinced his local pharmacist. Also,
Or every hardware store in the county, he just goes and buys a couple.
Yeah, so it gets spread out so no one
notices.
Yep. So he lured them one by one where they were shot, and then they both took the spicy bath in the sulfuric acid.
Yep.
And unlike his old workshop, though, Hay's new one did not have a drain. So he just poured the goo that was the last of their bodies out in the yard of the shop.
Seems like a bad choice.
Mm-hmm. A few more signatures were forged, and another 8,000 pounds was made. But now he was wilding out, like all serial killers tend to do.
Get a little cocky.
Yep. He got greedy and stupid because 6 days later... So he'd gone years before the first 3. Mm-hmm. 6 days later, he ran into Olive Durand Deacon. So he had previously made friends with Mrs. Olive Durand Deacon, who was a
Her
wealthy...
initials are odd, by the way.
They are. So he made friends with
to point it out.
Mrs. Odd. She was a wealthy widow of a rich solicitor and she was also a resident of the hotel that Haigh had been staying at. Okay. So he went super close. Local. Yeah. And then on February 18th, 1949, Haigh sidled up next to her at the bar where she mentioned this wonderful idea she had for artificial fingernails for the ladies now that the war was over. So Haigh, again feigning interest as the pragmatic inventor, told Olive to meet him in his workshop, where, of course, she was shot and stripped of her valuables and her fur coat and put into another sulfuric acid bath.
Okay. She's got them lined up now.
Yes. So meanwhile, after enjoying his cup of tea while Olive bled out, Haigh had her fur coat dry cleaned. So the mistake he made this time, though, apart from being a murderer and everything, was that he'd chosen a victim that would be missed. After 2 days of hearing no word from her friend, Constance, Olive's bestie, grew concerned. Haigh even took her, Constance, to the police station himself to file the missing persons report.
Good. Keeping close tabs on things.
Yep. So the police, though, were sus of Haigh from the start. He walked into the station with a little too much pep in his step, and so an investigation was launched. They quickly found out that his previous record of repeated fraud and decided to search his property. There, they found a receipt for dry cleaning and paperwork that linked him to the McSwans and the Hendersons. And then in his car, they found an old knife and a wartime revolver. And in his workshop, they found the metal drums and acid. And then outside his workshop, they found a pile of rubble, along with 28 pounds of human body fat, a part of a human foot, human gallstones, and a part of denture that was later identified belonged to Mrs. Odd.
The proof is in the pudding?
Ew. On every level. Ew. Oh, was it tapioca pudding?
Apparently. That's tapioca.
Oh.
Just the texture with the bubbles or whatever?
You don't remember that joke from the good old days? Mm-mm. Steve. Please tell me you remember Steve.
Yeah.
He would come in and buy tapioca pudding.
Oh, okay.
All the time. And Todd would make the joke and he'd do the impression of the tapioca pudding. But it was very much Sling Blade-ish.
Yeah.
Like ish. And it just, I was like, please don't. Please don't. But the day that I saw Steve roll into the scrapyard, I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, I have to text Todd. I know what he's been doing. I'm like, I know the woman, because he would buy like random like jewelry and lipstick and like dollar store eyeshadow.
It
was for Denise.
Nice.
I was so excited.
Anyway,
it was full circle.
This is massive inside joke.
No, it was. It is. It just made me extremely happy. I was like, oh my God, because he would knock on the door and he would hand us the little Debbies that he brought and like a piece of jewelry or whatever and be like, this is for Denise.
For the tchotchkes?
Yes.
For the tchotchkes?
Yes. And then it got to the point that he was like, you sure are looking good today, honey. I'm like, thanks, Steve. Have a nice day. Slam. I don't think he ever put two and two together that I was the chick from Family Dollar.
Probably not.
Absolutely not.
I don't think he puts two and two together often.
Nope. His mother was very sweet, though. Yeah. She quilted a blanket for Lily.
Yes.
Yep.
He has a new white truck.
He has a white truck now.
Yes.
Does he call it the White Beauty instead of Black Beauty?
I think so, yeah. Anyway.
Small town gossip, guys.
Onward and upward.
No one gives a shit. So anyway, this poor woman was dissolved in a vat of acid.
That's unfortunate.
So Haigh was then arrested and interrogated. He was confident that he would not be found guilty of any crime because no bodies, no murder, right? Wrong. So he just confessed to all of the murders of all 6 victims, plus 3 more that could not be substantiated. So in his interrogation, Haigh joked around with the officers on duty, asking, quote, "Tell me frankly, what are the chances of anybody being released from Broadmoor?" Which was the local high-security psych hospital. Because during his confession, he also claimed to be plagued with blood-filled nightmares as a child, triggered from his strict Protestant upbringing.
It's that choir boy.
Is that, yeah, really,
anyway,
suppressing some trauma. So he claimed that these nightmares were recurring after a head injury that he sustained in a car crash. So his nightmares featured a forest full of crucifixes. Crucify. What's the plural of crucifix?
Crucifixies.
Crucifixies? Okay.
Yes.
He saw a forest full of crucifixies.
It's like octopussies.
No.
No?
No.
Okay. It might be crucify.
So instead of 4...
It's not crucify. Scratch it. That's something different.
That is something different. That is something different. You're correct.
Crucifixies.
Crucifixies with their 8. They go from 4 once they've crucified someone, and then that person dies, and they grow 4 more arms are coming off of them.
Yeah.
So we have our crucifixies that were in a forest.
That's weird.
And then they would gradually turn into trees, dripping blood from the branches. And the blood was being caught in a cup by a man who told Haigh to drink. So he claimed that these dreams are what inspired him. So he would make a small incision in the bodies of his victim, collect a couple of glasses worth of blood, and drink it.
Oh.
So he's trying to create the narrative. He tried his hardest to portray an insane man driven by his vampiric urges to consume the blood of humans.
Is that a good thing to convey?
Yeah, if you want to plead insanity.
I suppose, yeah.
It didn't work.
Good.
I
think.
Yeah,
I don't know yet.
He went to trial in August of 1949, the jurors taking less than 30 minutes to proclaim his guilt. Yeah, they were like, this man. And they waved away his thinly veiled attempt at the insanity plea, and Haigh was sentenced to death. So you're right. He's definitely dead.
Yeah, He has been for longer than I anticipated is all.
So while awaiting his execution date, he continued to stick to his narrative that he was clearly a vampire and his forgery skills...
Vampire.
He was a vampire. His forgery skills and uncanny ability to wind up with large amounts of money from his victims in his own personal bank account didn't have much to do with the murders at all.
They're like, sir, you're tan. And we know a thing or two about vampires.
Yeah, they glisten in the sun, duh.
Yeah, and they hate sulfuric acid. I don't know.
I think it's garlic, but
You're the
close.
one that's very particular about the rules of fake characters.
Look, we already have a developed, like...
Character?
Yeah, not character,
No, it's
but
character
there
in a
is a
story.
trope. It has been in existence for hundreds of years. This is it. Don't fucking make him have weird diamond skin. Okay, look, that's not the thing. They turn to dust in the sun. Every literary author, except for Stephanie Myers, has abided by this rule.
Yeah, you have rules to fake characters.
Everybody. I'm not the only one. God, I hate Twilight.
I'm not saying you shouldn't hate it. I just think it's funny where you're like, these fake
This is
characters
the
have
thing
to
that
abide by these real rules. Like, do they though?
Yes, there has
they?
to be some semblance of logic.
In your fake character. I'm just wondering where the line in the sand's at. Anyway, proceed.
So I told you where the line is. They don't have diamond skin.
Okay.
They burst into flames.
Yes.
It's the rules.
They're not sweating, they glisten.
That's what I'm going to tell people now.
I don't sweat, I'm a vampire.
So anyway, during his wait for his execution date, his barber visited him to give him a nice, fade.
Sweeney Todd?
Yep. So that would be ironic. And then the police, they enjoyed his presence. They really liked him. The chaplain that prayed with him minutes before he was hung spoke affectionately about him after his death. His parents had come around. They insisted that God would forgive him. Haigh even received a visit from the Madame Tussaud.
Oh, the wax lady?
Yeah.
Okay.
They spent 3 hours meticulously developing a life mask to pair with his wax model that was to be put on display the day after his execution.
What a weird lady.
Yeah, it gets better. His wax figure sports an outfit selected and donated by John Haigh himself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
Is he that famous?
he's that particular.
Okay.
Because at some point he had actually consulted with one of the guards before they took him to the gallows. And
How
he
much
was
do you know about Madame Tussaud?
I know that the wax museum got shut down during the Rhone.
Okay.
And that's it.
Or Tussaud, however you say her name.
It's a franchise that's everywhere with the wax.
But how much do you know about her personally?
None.
Maybe that'll be the bonus pod this month.
That'd be fun.
I haven't decided if it'll be fun or not.
We're going to find out in a few days.
Wait, was it the Madame Tussaud that came to him?
Yeah, the Madame Tussaud.
Who's Marie Tussaud?
Yeah, Marie Tussaud. Madame's
no
not
way.
a name.
There's no way it was her.
Why?
She lived from 1761 to 1850.
Okay, so it was someone from Madame Tussaud's wax exhibit then came to see.
Unless
him.
Unless there's multiple.
There might be. Yeah,
I don't know.
It
Anyway.
could have been her great daughter, her granddaughter.
Tune into this month's bonus pod and you'll find out because I don't know at all.
Me neither.
Okay.
Somebody, her child, whatever, a Madame Tussaud of some
Someone
sort
in her
showed up.
hierarchy,
Yes, and was like, "Let's make you famous."
Yes.
And he gave them
And
clothes.
it's still a thing now. So.
Yeah. We went to a Madame Tussauds wax
We went
museum.
to, yeah.
It was labeled a Madame Tussauds
It was a
wax
10%.
museum.
Anyway.
It was creepy.
It was more haunted feeling than the ghost tour we went on.
Yeah.
It was more terrifying.
Well, there's other reasons why it was really terrifying.
And
like going into
those poor Kennedys. God damn. They've never looked worse.
I don't know. Elvis had a rough go of it too.
It was more Spamalot than Camelot.
Yeah.
Anyway, proceed with your story.
It was bad. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay. It was not worth the money.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And it was memorable.
And it was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think out of that entire vacation, I will be the most horrified by that entire experience.
the picture I got from the Cinderella one Still haunts me to this day. Anyway, go on with your story.
It's about done. On August 10th, 1949, Haigh had a brandy for his last meal and walked to the gallows and was hanged.
That's the classic. People are like, I need steak and whatever.
Nah.
Just give me a
He had
shot
a glass
of brandy.
He had a glass of brandy, called it good, and went
Away
to
you
hang.
go. Yeah,
Yep.
no, that's definitely a better way to go about it.
Yep. Yeah, you might as well be drunk if you're going to do it. Yes.
I'm not
that
showing
wasn't
her the
Cinderella.
pictures
That was
from Mad-
that was the queen.
This
the
will
Mad
be
Queen.
the photo that I post the bonus episode with. Is that horrifying photo of whatever the fuck those are.
That was supposed to be from Alice in Wonderland.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the Mad Queen.
It's creepy.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, it's not the Mad Queen.
Yeah, it is.
That's a dude.
No, the king next to her. That is the Mad Queen and
What?
her king.
No.
Yes, because they had
They have a beard.
that's bad contouring.
Oh.
Because in
I was gonna
they
say,
had
it looks
all
like
of
a
the other
5
stuff
o'clock shadow.
associated with Alice in Wonderland. They had the table, they had the tea party, they had Alice, they had
Okay. So that's just bad contouring?
100%.
Okay.
That was
I
1990s
thought it was
contouring.
a guard or something.
Nope, that's the queen.
Okay. Well, that photo will be on Patreon.
The Queen of Hearts.
This is that's our shameless plugging for the podcast.
Yes. Yeah, that's the end. Very anticlimactic. He was hung on August 10th,
1949.
49. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'd say it's a weird story because it was almost like he obviously was a serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was very
started out as fraud.
It felt like it felt like
escalated very quickly in the wrong direction.
It felt like a con artist with a side of murder instead of being murder forward.
Right.
Yeah, it felt like the murder was like an afterthought.
Yeah. It was literally just a means to an end. He would just kill people so that he could collect their properties and pawn off their jewelry and drain their bank accounts so that he could gamble off of it for years. And that's how he supported himself, was via murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he learned the hard way that, like, if he left anybody alive, then he would just go to jail again.
Yeah, can't have that. I mean, he did go to jail again.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, sources real quick. Oh, no, my phone. It went dark. Okay.
Oh, no. Sources.
So.
Only in your state, UK.
Nope. Wikipedia.
Naturally.
Yes. Look.
I don't know why you say that anymore.
I mailed it in this week. Been busy.
You mail it in. It was not beavers get trained into Australia or some,
We're doing another beaver episode,
Hey,
guys.
I will speak for everyone. Last episode was fine. Like, I didn't have any issue with that phoning in or whatever.
Oh, even the poor beaver who died, who yeeted himself off of the box?
Yeah. What was his name? Kamikaze? McGillicuddy.
No. Geronimo.
Geronimo.
No, that wasn't the one who yeeted himself. That one didn't get a name.
No.
And then I used, I don't know how to say this. It's alloadvertiser.com. It was like a newspaper archive site. An article titled "A Walk in the Past."
It's pronounced AOL. Just kidding.
I had to double check. No, it's clearly allo. Advertiser.com, an article that was titled "A Walk in the Past, the Clacks Family at the Heart of the Acid Bath Murders." Thehistorypress.co.uk. There you go. Article named the Acid Bath Murders, and then executedtoday.com entry 1949, John George Haigh.
Did you stumble upon this during chemical peel research?
No.
Okay. I didn't know if you were just going down.
We don't use sulfuric acid.
We
don't.
You never know with you.
Yeah, so executedtoday.com entry 1949, John George Haigh, the acid bath murder.
Just bear in mind, I do have access to sulfuric acid, so just watch your tone.
You told me how to murder you with insulin, so you watch your tone.
Well, yeah.
You're all
there's
like,
that.
it dissipates in the body, and no one would know, and no one would question it, and this
It's
is how
true.
many units it takes to kill me.
And then our nurse friend backed me up on that.
Yeah, she did.
She's like, yeah, it's actually
And then my
true.
client today, who's a doctor, said, no, it does dissolve quickly. She said it's like biomimetic, so it's something no one would ever question in the body. She mentioned another
it wouldn't
chemical that would kill you that
it
no one
wouldn't
would
be
question,
peaceful
but I
either.
forgot.
Spare that.
It wouldn't be peaceful?
Probably not.
I'll just shut the door.
Oh,
I'll do it in the bathroom. Shut
anyway, I'm going to go drive and never,
Never
come back. So we made it to episode 93, guys. Look at us. Just kidding. Anyway, thanks for listening.
If you've made it this far.
Congrats. What? Sleep with one eye open. All right. Goodbye.
Bye. Oof, that was terrible. Thanks for listening to our terrible podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Feel free to follow us on Twitter at TMSTPod.
And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at Tell Me Something Terrible.